Mark Carney is the real-life version of Mr. Burns. His economic plan for Canada is so insane, you can't even believe it's real. He's in front of a large crowd of people bragging about how Canada is going to continue to bring hundreds of thousands of foreign tech workers into the country a year. At the same time as every economist who has any knowledge of what's going on with AI knows that AI is coming to destroy so many jobs, particularly in the tech sector. We already have a 22% unemployment rate among male youth. 22%, 1 in 4 are unemployed. They say that our unemployment rate in Canada is 7.1%, which is second highest in the G7. In all likelihood, it's actually higher than that when you include people who have dropped out of the job market altogether. Most economists believe it's between 10 and 11%. So at the same time as Canada's economy is shrinking, thanks to Mark Carney and the Liberals focusing on these green woke policies that hurt Canada economically. 2015, GDP per capita, Canada and the United States, essentially the same. Trump, Trudeau are elected. Trump obviously implements his plan. Trudeau implements his green initiatives. All this, no focus on oil, no focus on LNG, no focus on the incredible natural resources that the Canadian government claims are damaging to the environment. This despite the fact that Canada only emits between 1.5 and 2% of all global CO2 emissions. GDP per capita, we have fallen off a cliff when you look at the chart from 2015. We're down 40% on the US. It's shocking what the drop-off is. So the Liberal Party of Canada and Mark Carney was a senior advisor to Justin Trudeau. It's well known, a senior economic advisor. Spent time at WF Davos, all these globalist institutions. Brookfield Asset Management, which makes a hell of a lot of money off this green grift. So Carney was an economic advisor to Trudeau, and now he's telling us in the financial situation that we're in now, largely thanks to, there are of course several variables that go into it, but immigration has been massive. It's the reason that Canadian suicide, every statistic across the board, suicide rates are going up, cost of living is through the roof in Canada compared to other countries. It's unbelievable. Our housing, our rental market is insanely high, and that's a direct result of immigration. So at the same time as Canadians are struggling like they haven't economically since the 90s, Carney is on tape bragging, literally bragging about the fact Canada is going to bring hundreds of thousands of so-called high-skilled tech workers. At the same time as it's 100% certainty, it's undoubted. Anybody who's using AI knows that AI is coming for so many professions, including obviously tech people working in the tech industry, Canadians working in the tech industry. So it's going to be much harder to find a job. At the same time as it's going to be more difficult for Canadians to find jobs, Mark Carney is bragging about bringing in hundreds of thousands in more competition. How insane is that? After 8 million people coming into the country in the past decade, and the economy being in the situation that it is right now, our Prime Minister is on TV bragging about bringing hundreds of thousands of people in. And of course, the propagandistic news media, CBC, CTV, Global News, don't say a peep about it. Not a peep about that fact. When voter after voter says that this is one of their top couple of issues, but you never see it. You never see it covered on the propagandistic news networks. CBC receives $1.5 billion a year from the government of Canada. So Carney is out bragging about bringing these hundreds of thousands of people in. And the Canadian people need to stand up and say, we're not your personal piggy bank. That's what Brookfield Asset Management is up 45% since Carney was elected. His personal assets, he owns 90% of his stocks he owns are in the US. He owns over 600 stocks. And the man is looting this country, literally looting this country and bringing in more competition. This is not what Canadians want. We're supposed to live in a democracy where the will of the people is heard. Our economy is about to get hammered by AI. The economy is already getting hammered thanks to your insane green initiatives. And at the same time as this is going on, you're bragging about people coming in who are literally going to replace potential Canadian jobs. Our economy is already doing incredibly poorly. People don't have opportunities. We should be focused in Canada on Canadian workers having opportunities. And at the same time as they're bringing in all this competition, they've also implemented all this DEI woke stuff where 95% of the jobs that you apply to in Canada, they ask, are you black? Are you Indigenous? Are you a woman? All this ESG, DEI, BS that contributes towards Canada's productivity falling off a cliff. This focus on ESG, DEI that the World Economic Forum pushes because it's incredibly, it makes them a hell of a lot of money. That's why. It makes them a hell of a lot of money. Mark Carney is even on camera. He didn't know he was being recorded bragging about how all these green initiatives, people don't like to say this, but it makes us a hell of a lot of money. He's clearly steering the Canadian economy so that the rich elite will continue to get richer and richer and richer. Mark Carney's, his own net worth has exploded since he became Prime Minister, while continuing to steer Canada the direction of Venezuela. Make our economy weaker, make it harder to survive. They're now on CBC playing ads about people purchasing expired food. This is typical commie tactics, and it'll get uglier. I can guarantee it'll get uglier, because our society can see that the government is intentionally making things worse for the Canadian people. It'll benefit financially people like Mark Carney, bringing hundreds of thousands more people in, because he and his buddies at Brookfield that are invested in these tech companies can bring in the best from other countries, or just in general, bring people in from other countries who then take jobs that Canadians could just as easily do. And maybe if we hadn't allowed in the number we had, but it's 5 straight years of unprecedented record immigration, over 1 million people a year, 5 straight years. It's unheard of. Over 1 in 4, 26.4% of all Canadians are now first generation. That's tearing this country apart. It's insanity, and it's putting the Canadian people last, which is the exact opposite of what we have to be doing. Which is why I'm starting the Fight for Canada party. Stay tuned for updates. Going to be looking for what race to run in, and then submitting all the paperwork to actually be able to run under the party banner. So thank you very much to everybody who registered. Really appreciate that. I have over the 250 signatures that need to be submitted. So thanks everybody so much, everybody who signed up. Please like, share, subscribe, donate, join, become a member. And let's not let this go. Mark Carney is destroying the Canadian economy intentionally for his own personal profit.